What's going on, guys? How are you? And welcome back to the channel. My name is George and welcome to Watches with George. First of all, I want to say hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're practicing social distancing. I hope you're all washing your hands so we can get through this as quick as possible so we can get back to our daily lives. Now back to the video. Today I want to talk about something really interesting. I want to talk about your first experience buying a watch. I want to talk about your first watch that got you into this, I was going to say horrible, but it's not horrible because it's amazing. It's an amazing hobby to have. But the first watch that pushed you into collecting watches and the first watch that started it all. I think I've said first watch 7 million times already. Anyway, I know my first watch was it was a Fossil watch, and at the time when I bought it, I was super excited because I bought it with my own money. But knowing what I know now, I wouldn't buy the same watch again. And that's the reason why I'm asking that. I want to know what your first watch was, and if you want, you can post it in the comment section below. And that brings me to 5 things that I wish I knew before I bought my first watch. Watch collecting should be fun, and it's an expensive hobby as it is. And I think making mistakes is okay when you're buying something, when you're buying a watch, but at the same time, like I said, you don't want to throw your money away. But also making mistakes, going back to that, is something good because it shapes up your collection and it kind of helps you realizing what you do or don't like, if you know what I mean. It kind of, makes you refine your taste and, point you in the right direction. I think that's a better way to say that. But nevertheless, let's get into my 5 things. Like I said, 5 things that I knew before I actually bought my first watch. Number 1, brand will not always get you a good watch. And this point appeals to mainly to the people that don't have a lot of money to spend on their first watch or don't have a huge budget. The reason why I'm saying this is, obviously, if you have $15,000 to spend on a Rolex, you won't make a bad purchase. It's a Rolex, everybody knows it. It's a decent brand, I would say, and it will be a very good watch. So that's why it doesn't appeal to these people. A lot of people that get into watch collection won't have a lot of money to start, and if they don't know a lot about watches, they'll automatically presume, they'll presume that, if I'm buying a Seiko or a Citizen, let's say $100, $150, I'm buying something really good. No, it's not the case, because most of the watches from entry-level companies such as Seiko or Citizen they'll look decent but won't have the best spec. As an example, the Seiko 5 range and most of the automatic watches coming from Seiko under $100 or $150, you will get the non-hacking or hand-winding 7S26 movement. So just as a thing, something to consider before you start doing that, before you consider buying a watch from a big brand. And also, as another thing, if you go on a website such as AliExpress, they will do watches under $100. I think I saw a Cadison, I think on the sale, it was $45, $46, which is probably the cheapest watch, non-branded watch that had a Seiko NH35 or a Seiko NH36 movement in it. So just as an example for you to know, just because it doesn't have that brand, just because it has that brand on it, doesn't mean you're getting the best bang for buck. Number 2, know your specs and know your dimensions. I didn't know that. And when I actually bought my first watch, I just went into the shop, had no idea. I looked good on my wrist, I have to say. I did get a chance. I tried it on. But in terms of movement, my first watch was a Fossil watch. And in terms of movement, I thought I was getting a hybrid movement at the time. I had no idea what a hybrid movement was, if there was such a thing. And I bought something because it was an open heart Fossil watch, and I presumed that the little spring that was moving and the little wheel that was moving in the movement that I could see in there was actually operating the movement and the time. And it's like, no, it didn't. It had nothing to do with it. It was battery operated, and I ended up spending €100 at the time, which was around 14 years ago, in Romania, on something that I still have somewhere thrown in my watch box that I'll never fix again. But the point that I'm trying to make is, do a bit of research. Let's see what kind of movement the watch has. Quartz, it doesn't apply on quartz watches that much, but if you're If you're buying an entry level, make sure you're getting hacking and hand winding. And also, like as a good example, as I was saying, you are getting something that is good. And in terms of specs, in terms of dimensions, if you're buying something online, know the size of your wrist. Try something with a similar size and see if it fits. So if you're buying, let's say, a watch, if you have a 6.5 inch wrist, for instance, and you want to buy a diver watch, most of the diver watches would be, unless you're buying a Rolex Homage or an Invicta or something, would be, probably diver watches would be around 42 millimeters. Now, 42 millimeters, if you have a small wrist, I have a 6.3 inch wrist, and if you get a diver watch that's 42 millimeters, it's going to look big. But if you have a small lug to lug, it's going to wear a bit more compact and it's going to be a bit smaller on the wrist. So that's what I was saying. If you get a chance to try the watch on your wrist before you're buying the same watch, please do. And also, some watches may look bigger, but they would wear smaller. I kind of think that I said the same thing twice. But anyway, something to consider. Number 3. I didn't know about micro brands. Micro brands are to consider. Now, nowadays with Kickstarter and everything, there's a lot of small companies that had popped up and are offering a lot of good value for money watches. And one of the good things about these things, about micro brands, is that they're offering a fresh approach on watch design. And it's more, as opposed to the traditional watchmaking, not necessarily techniques, traditional and watchmaking style. It's the new micro brands are actually kind of, you know, they're made by younger people, and they would offer a bit more trend is not necessarily the word to use, but they would be more up to date with whatever people would like. Also, depending on whatever market they're kind of, you know, they're pointing their watches at. But also, I had no idea about micro brands. So again, consider micro brands when purchasing your watch. Number 4, there's nothing wrong with secondhand watches. The reason, again, why I'm saying that, you may not have experience and you may not know what you're buying, or thinking that if you're buying a secondhand watch from somebody, you are buying something that is bad. That is not the case. You can buy a secondhand watch from somebody. If you're buying a Rolex, for instance, I don't have to tell you, you know, make sure you're getting from an authorized dealer. Some authorized dealers will still have, you know, they sell refurbished Rolexes. You know that already, I don't have to tell you. But if you're buying from somebody that is not a dealer, if you're buying somebody from eBay, make sure you have all the proper papers. If he was the first owner of the watch, if the watch is in good condition, because generally a good sign of that the watch has been looked after if it has all the papers with it, and if the papers are in good condition. That's something to consider. And I had no idea, like, the time. I thought when I bought it, I was like, no, I have to go to the shop. Obviously, it's a good idea to go in the shop and buy a watch, and you're getting, because you get to peel all those beautiful stickers off, and that's always a good feeling. But the thing is, and you know you're the first person that is going to own it, and you're going to love it, and you're going to cherish it. Cherish it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, again, you might be getting better value for money from a watch that is, you know, that it has been previously owned by somebody, but you're sacrificing warranty. So kind of, you know, pros and cons to this, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong. And I always say research. The more you know about it, the better it is, the more it helps you make a decision. And my 5th and final point, or things you should consider, is don't rush into it. All the previous 4 points that I just mentioned are nothing if you rush into things, because just give it time. It should be nice. You shouldn't be making mistakes. And again, like I was saying, kind of contradicting myself there, there's nothing wrong with mistakes, because we learn from them. If you do learn from them, it does help you shape up and point you in the right direction. But at the same time, rushing is not good. Just do the research. This is meant to, you know, start you on a new path. Do the research. Sit down, find out what you want and what you need. If it is a beater watch, if it's your only watch that you're going to wear, make sure you get something that's going to kind of fit overall the aesthetics. Sit down. What would you like? Call somebody, ask them. You know, it's just do your homework. Guys, these were my 5 points, 5 things that I think everybody should know when buying their first watch or their first serious watch. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much for sticking around. I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all good. Click a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one, and thank you.